Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 12 of Tarot is Ridiculous, the only place where we take very serious concepts and try to laugh about them and break them down so that you can learn more about tarot in bite-sized pieces. My name is Leeza Robertson, and I am your host today. I am the deck creator of the Mermaid Tarot, Soul Cats Tarot, Cirque Du Tarot, and the Animal Totem Tarot, as well as a bunch of tarot books, but you could go Google those on your own time. Today, I have another deck creator and an amazing person inside of our tarot community, and she's going to be talking a little bit today about her journey and her current deck and her favorite card. Shannon, thank you so much for being with us today.
Hi, Leeza. It's so great to be here. I love talking about decks and cards and tarot and the journey within and making these things approachable, practical. So I'm just elated to be here.
Now, tell us a little bit about your journey, because you are a deck creator. So what was the first deck you created, and why did you get into deck creation?
I kind of fell into it by accident. I have created the line of REBEL decks, which are oracle decks that are very sassy and cussy, and just basically it's like your best friend in a box. And I created them after going through a really tough time after my third child was born, my daughter was born, and a friend trying to lift me up sent me an angel oracle card, and it really pissed me off. Not that she sent it to me, but the messages were so like whimsical and rainbows and angels, and that was not reflective of my mood. So I decided to create a deck that was very real, very practical, just in your face, and to kind of juxtapose a lot of the other decks that were out there, because there is a time and place for those decks, and then there's a time and place where you just have to keep it really real. And so that is the oracle line that I created. And then during that journey, Jillian C. Wild and I got together and remade the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, and that's when I really dove into tarot and helped write the guidebook and helped with the skin tones of the images. We've created, all of the cards to be reflective of the traditional Rider-Waite, but to be reflective of the skin tones that we have. So that's when I really, really dove into tarot and just got such a deep appreciation for it. And so that's why I'm excited to talk tarot today, because I'm used to talking oracle. And so I'd love to talk tarot.
And this is the deck here, the Pixie Pop Tarot, which Shannon was very nicely sent me this deck, because this is actually the only Rider-Waite clone deck that's traditional that I own. And if you are getting the Tarot is Ridiculous newsletter, you see this deck every single week, because I do use it every single week. So now you've got a face to the creator who gave us this incredible deck. What have you noticed? So this is a good question, because I know there are a lot of people in our community who use both oracle and tarot. I'm definitely one of them. I'll use pretty much any cards to lay them out and see what they have to say. How did you find switching over to tarot? Let's make this a two-part question. How did you find switching over to tarot? And then part two, what do you think are the big differences between oracle and tarot?
That is a great question. So my background is in Chinese medicine. I'm an acupuncturist, and I've been an acupuncturist for now 16 years. And I'm obsessed with moving energy within the body. And alongside that, I do intuitive readings. And so I will combine those. So I love to combine modalities. Now, when working with oracle, it feels that it's very much more cut and dry. Yes, there are beautiful images that go along with it, but it's kind of out there for you. This is my experience. Working with tarot, making the transition to working with tarot, it's much more subconscious, much more, let's really focus on these, the images, archetypes that we're all familiar with. Even if we haven't really studied the tarot, we're familiar with the hero's journey. We're familiar with the ups and downs of everyday life. We're familiar with a lot of these archetypes, and it allows you to kind of ground into those archetypes and look really deep within.
Yeah. And the reason I ask is because, like, I'm going to be having Barbara Moore on this show in May, and she still to this day doesn't quite understand why people read oracle cards. Like, she doesn't get it. Like, it's one of those things that, so I'm like, we need more discussions around oracles and tarot and how they work together. Like, as I said, because I'm a big person who does it. Like, give me like 25 decks, I'll take them all. I'll pull a card from all of them. I'll create reading soup and we'll just see how we go. But like, I love that. I think that's a really great explanation. From a deck creator standpoint, how different was it creating your oracle deck to redoing and becoming acquainted with these tarot cards?
Well, the Oracle deck was very simple in contrast to the tarot, because it was basically given. I just observed my life and the struggles that I'd been through, the struggles that my friends had been through, struggles patients had been through, just kind of struggles in general, and kind of put that in the Oracle decks, but again, in very like a practical, approachable language. So it was cut and dry. And my deck is probably one of the most cut and dry out there. And it responds to the question, what do I need to know right now? It doesn't lend itself well to spreads or past and present or future. It's like, okay, right now, just give me what I need to know right now. And then you kind of move on with your life. That is the model. It is not meant to go deep. People can go deep, but it's like, okay, in your face, like you're blocked, let's move it and like, let's keep it going. So it was very cathartic because there are these themes that I felt needed to be out there, that I needed to see, that people were coming back and saying, yes, this is what I needed. Because when I started, I had no idea what I was doing. And, I printed 100 decks and they sold out in a week. And I just kind of kept going from there. And at the same time, I was getting heat from the spiritual community that there's too much cussing in these decks. And I still get that to this day. And I'm like, okay, well then there are hundreds, if not thousands, other decks that you can just chill with, and you don't have to see the big bad words that you don't want to see. Now, moving to tarot, there was nothing like laid out for me. It was all symbolism, all diving deep, all like, and really having to look at the themes that, well, in Oracle, they were out there for you to see. In tarot, it's like, oh, okay. Like I really have to look at my relationship with money, with worth, with my passions, with my thoughts. And I have to sit with these things, which, I typically kind of want to just keep it moving, at the acupuncturist. Let's get that needle in and let's keep it moving and then see what it's going to do. So working with the tarot really made me slow down. And each card, I had to see, okay, what's going on with each card? And then so much is in each card. With my Oracle deck, it's the message. Right. There's not much. Tarot, each card can be so deep.
Right. That is true. And that brings us to the card that you selected to talk about today. So tell us your card and then tell us why you picked this one.
I'm in my Queen of Pentacles era. I'm really focusing on my mindset around abundance, around worth, around compassion, around self-compassion, around kind of having it all, so to speak. And the Queen of Pentacles, I have 3 young children. I'm an entrepreneur. I have had ups and downs in my acupuncture business. With COVID, I've had a lot of ups and downs with Rebel Deck. Also due to COVID, but due more to knockoff decks and pirated decks. And so, like there's just all this ups and downs, and I'm really trying to embrace all of it and be this, force, but also take care of myself, honor abundance and finances, but also again, like have this compassion, this vulnerability, this, I know creativity can be with other queens, but in order to have abundance, you have to have creativity. and just really, again, just kind of like learning from that archetype. That's kind of where I've been sitting recently.
And show us your Queen of Pentacles cards. I pulled the one out of the Soul Cats Tarot today. So let's have a look at this one in relation to the traditional one. Okay. Oh, there we go. I can never quite figure out where the hell my camera is. There we go.
I know. I'm like, everything's opposite. Like, what? Okay.
So one of the things I love about seeing so many different versions of this card too is how individual themes are picked up in each deck creator's interpretation of this card. So when you sat down to do this card, what were the themes that were important for you about this card? Because I know you use the traditional, it's basically a clone, but even in a clone, there are some elements of the card which stand out more to a creator than others. So what was it with this one?
Well, Jillian and I, she did, she created the artwork, but we did it together, but she, manually did it. And she's an amazing artist. If people haven't seen her work, she did the Naked Heart Tarot. She's got a lot of stuff, happening, but we took, like, if you can see the ombre skies, that's what we call them, the ombre skies. That is where we took liberties. There we go, this camera, where we took liberties for creativity. We wanted to keep the same color scheme when we redid it, and Jillian was really great with that, with her, with her artistry. So we kept it as original as possible, except for having this gold in the sky to reflect the pentacle. And we also changed her skin color. Everyone in the traditional Rider-Waite is pale with some orangey tones in it. So we changed her to be more reflective. We have some very, very fair queens, and we have some dark-skinned queens, and she was like right in the middle. And then we just kind of popped out the greens to, again, kind of reflect that abundance. So that's kind of what we tried to keep the integrity, because this card was all about honoring Pamela Coleman Smith, and she is really not honored the way we felt she was. And we also made sure that her signature was kept on the card, because a lot of her signatures are removed. Right. So we those are the things that we chose. So we kind of chose to make sure that the original artist that created all of this abundance was highlighted. So that's kind of when we sat down, we're like, we really have to preserve the images, but we're going to have fun with the colors.
I like the way you talk about that too, about paying homage to the creator, because this is a system where the artwork is used in a capitalistic way, right? So if we look at the Queen of Pentacles, I always look at the Queen of Pentacles as the ultimate business woman. She has money on her mind, and her mind is on her money. She is very aware of her resources, her time, her health. And I think that, like, being able to say, we now, all of these years later, are using another woman's artwork as a form of currency, as a form of money. And to be able to put the Queen's name on the Queen of Pentacles is a really beautiful statement.
Yeah, it was very powerful. We actually have another card in the deck that we created, a major card, the Visionary card. And it's just our representation of Pamela Coleman Smith. Here it is. To pay respect to the visionary behind this. The thing that I really love about this queen is that she's contemplative. She has the pentacle near her womb, near where creation, comes from. And she's she's holding space for it. She's not like looking up. She's like looking down to really, like I said, just contemplate abundance. In my perspective, contemplate the abundance. And I really love how the ground is, and the rabbit, of course, is going to be fertility. And so many people forget or kind of misassign fertility as having children. And in Chinese medicine, anything that you put out into the world is fertile. Like anything that you create, any thoughts, any projects, any ideas. And that's kind of, again, in order to, if she's going to be the quintessential businesswoman, we have to have those ideas flowing. And then we have to pay respect to the women that, and the humans that gave us these means to be able to be where we are now.
Exactly. Cleared the pathway in order for us to continue to be the rabbit. So that's kind of the way I see it too. Like we are the rabbits on this card that are continuing to multiply and take tarot further and further and further out into the world. We're constantly recreating the story and giving birth to new ways to connect to the original artwork.
Yes, I love that.
Anything else about this card before we wrap up?
I think in general, the reason why I've really fallen in love with tarot is because I do love symbolism. I love working with the subconscious. And even if we don't agree or have different representations of images and things, your subconscious still has recorded a lot of the meanings of things, even without our awareness. So I do like, if I'm really trying to work on my Queen of Pentacles energy, the businesswoman, that leads with compassion, that has good money sense and things, I like to have it out, because I've never necessarily, admittedly, been in love with the imagery, but that doesn't mean that my subconscious doesn't understand the imagery. And so that's why I like to, I'll do a reading, but then I'll also have the cards out, because there's a resonance of my subconscious seeing the pentacle and seeing a queen in her power that maybe my mind doesn't really recognize as much as my subconscious would. So that's why I kind of like to have them out. So there is this communication with this archetype.
Beautiful. Now, where can our listeners and viewers find you?
Well, I'm at rebeldeck.com, and that has the whole line of the Rebel decks. And also there is a tab that says Pixie Pop, and you can pick up Pixie Pop there. Also on Etsy, they're for sale. And I'm on social, Instagram, Facebook. Admittedly, I am not very active on social, and hopefully this Queen of Pentacles will kick my ass to be able to get out there more and more. But yes, that's where they can find me, rebeldeck.com.
And we will have that link in the show notes if you need that. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I love talking to other creators and other tarot people, and you were such a treat. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. Or thank you for inviting me.
All right, everyone, that is our episode for this week. For those of you who want to go further with this card and read my musings about the Queen of Pentacles, you will have to be subscribed to the Tarot is Ridiculous newsletter. You will find a link in the show notes to that. Otherwise, I will see you next week with my next guest and our next card. Bye for now, everyone.